Lowenbrau original.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Band, Bikes and Booze Reviews. The sun is over the yard arm and it's time for a beer. And I've got one that I've been wanting to try since 1990. Now, a quick history lesson for you. They used to sell this over here. Whitbread, specifically, used to import this in the 80s. And it was the original stuff from Germany and it tasted great. And it was stronger than anything that was available on keg or cask at the time. You couldn't get a beer that was over 5%. This stuff, I think, was 5.2, and it packed a punch, believe me. I remember doing gigs where I could hardly stand up after I'd had a lunchtime session with this, and then gone home and had a few more, and then got on stage. Yeah, not good. They stopped brewing it over here, and they stopped importing it over here. Originally it came from West Germany, as it was called at the time, because West Germany, of course, Germany was divided. West Germany was the non-Soviet controlled part, and the beer was brought over by Whitbread and sold in their pubs on draft and in bottles. But that stopped and they started brewing it, I think, in Burton, and it turned to shit. And of course people didn't like the taste of it and it just faded, and I didn't see it for years. And the last time I saw it for sale in the flesh was in Aldi's, and I looked on the box and it was brewed in the UK still by Carlsberg, and I thought, nah, that's not going to happen, so I didn't buy it. But then I found some on Beers of Europe, and this is the genuine article from Bavaria. Just a quick bit about the Lowenbrau brewery. They've been going since, 1383, I think it was, that they first started brewing. There's a record of them there. And they've moved about a bit. They've had some amalgamations, but they've got a real interesting history. By the 1870s, they was the biggest brewer in Bavaria. And they exported a hell of a lot as well. And a lot of their stuff relied on exports. And in the 1900s, this stuff was being exported to London as early as that. And of course, during World War One, or when World War One started, that put the kibosh on all that, and it stopped, and all the staff were made redundant. But it was popular because there were pubs that were selling it, and it was considered a woman's drink. I don't know what the ABV was back then, but that's what it was. And after World War One, I'm not sure whether that came back to Britain, but what did happen in 1923, if you're into your history and you know about Nazi Germany, you know in 1923 there was what was known as the beer hall putsch, and it was basically Hitler trying to take power. And of course it didn't work out for him, and he went to prison, and that was the end of that. But, well, it wasn't the end of that, that was the beginning of that, but that took place in a place called the Brau Keller, which was owned by Lowenbrau at the time. Then, when the Nazis came to power in 1932, this stuff, because some of the members of the board of Lowenbrau were Jewish, this became known as Jews' beer, and it was shunned in Germany for that reason. And in 1945, just to add insult to injury, the Allies came over and blew up the brewery, and it was completely fucking flattened. But it resumed in 1948, and then the exports again started picking up, and they were taken over. First, well, I say they was taken over. There was a lot of amalgamations and stuff like that, but they exported to North America, and Miller started brewing them. And AB InBev, or Anheuser-Busch as they were known back then, they had a look how they were doing it, and they complained. They said, you know, you're not brewing this to the Reinheitsgebot. You're throwing stuff in there that would never get past the German purity laws in Germany. It never went to court, but that publicity meant that that beer stopped selling. And it never really became popular over there again. But in a twist of fate, AB InBev have taken this over, and unfortunately AB InBev own this now. But apparently it's still brewed to the Reinheitsgebot, so it should be a good beer. I could talk for a long time about Lowenbrau. They got real fascinating history, but I'm going to leave it there just to add quickly the lion's head, or the lion's head on there. That is that's taken from a painting or a frieze that they've got in their brew house. It was supposedly a depiction of Daniel and the lion's den, you know, the biblical story about that. And of course, being in Bavaria, these are one of the 6 breweries that are only allowed to sell beer in the Oktoberfest, the other being Augustiner, Hofbrau, Hackeshaw, Spartan and Paulaner. They're the 6. So Lowenbrau is one of them. Anyway, that's enough of that. I'm not going to talk any more about that. Let's get on to the beer. Right, 500ml bottle, 5.2%. I'm not sure whether that's the original ABV, but the label is iconic. The light blue. I used to have a t-shirt of that. I don't know what happened to it. It went for a burn. There's the front. There's the back, just to prove that this is the German stuff and it's not brewed in that fucking monstrosity up in Northampton. It's got the ingredients: water, malted barley, hops, hop extract and yeast. Not a lot else. Most of it's in German. That's all you really need to know. Let's get it open and see what's going on. And there goes the effing bottle opener. There's the cap. I'm getting too old for this. I keep moving down. Right. What we getting on the nose? Sulphur. Quite spicy and bitter. Interesting. That is really spicy. It's like black pepper and some sort of hot spice, like a chili or something like that. But very peppery. I'm imagining that's a yeasty thing. Let's get it into the glass. Now, would you believe, speaking of Oktoberfests, Lowenbrau have got the oldest beer garden in the world. And the restaurant is quite well known in Bavaria, and a lot of people... Oh, no, that's better. It must have been a yeasty thing. A lot of people do visit that. It's quite a tourist attraction. Yeah, more malt coming through now. It smells like a good lager should. And there it is in the glass. Lovely light straw colour, medium carbonation, foamy 1.5 finger whitehead. Earthy, clean earthy, and still that spice is there. And I'm assuming they're using one of the 4 noble hops, or some of the 4 noble hops that make that up. Hallertau or Spartan maybe. Smells nice. Let's get it down the hatch. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Wow. That is the Lowenbrau that I remember, or Lowenbrau, however you want to pronounce it. Everyone called it Lowenbrau over here. That's really nice. Super smooth mouthfeel. Lovely, lovely sweet malt. And a nice doughy, bready finish on that. Really nice. There's quite a dry finish on that. And there's a little touch of spice on the finish too. But in the mouth, that is so sweet. Head's dissipating now. And this is cold, this has come out of the fridge, which is more or less how it should be drunk. But all in all, this is a really good one. Oh, I have to say that is so smooth. It's really, really good stuff. And then, even though the finish is dry, you do get that. You do get a real big bready type finish on that too. It's weird. It's hard to explain, but it's very Moorish. It hasn't got the real liquid bread that you get in Paulana, but I'll tell you something, this is not bad at all. It's going down super easy. It's really nice. You still get, as you're bringing it up to your nose, you're still getting that spicy, slightly earthy type aroma. But then, as soon as you get it in the mouth, that's it. All the malty sweetness just comes through. Oh, really good, super clean, really refreshing too. That is a fucking killer beer, that is. It always was. I remember when it was over here, it was so popular. In fact, a little bit too popular. And I think the reason Whitbread decided to brew it over here, it was just they couldn't keep up with the demand getting it over here, and it was costly as well. So, and then they fucked it up. They thought, like a lot of brewers do, they think, oh, the general public are stupid, just brew it over here, badge it up. Nah, it's very, very hard to get beer that good, over here. Well, at the time, I'm not saying you can't do it now, but at the time you couldn't get it that good. It just wasn't possible. Well, it's lovely. That's absolutely amazing stuff. That is what lager should be. So what's the verdict? Well, that is like revisiting an old friend, because when I was younger, I used to drink gallons of this stuff. And it was when I first left school, the two that I loved, but I couldn't handle them, was Stella and this stuff. And then when they stopped brewing this stuff over here and changed it, I gave up on it completely. I don't think I've had it since, have I? Certainly not in this country. Maybe in Germany I may have tried some. I can't honestly remember. I don't remember having it anyway. But this is good. But a word of warning, if you're going to buy this stuff, make sure, it's like the Becks, make sure it's brewed in Germany. Because if you get it over here, it's going to be brewed in Northampton and it's going to taste like a bag lady's period. That is the truth. But yeah, all in all, it's a good one. I like it. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because it's just a great beer, and it always has been a great beer in my opinion, and I loved it when I was growing up. And I don't think you're going to go wrong with this as long as you get the German stuff. As I say, I can't emphasise this point too much. If it says anything about being brewed in the UK, just fucking drop it, leave it where it is and walk away, because you won't be getting what this is like. Beers of Europe do this. It's the German stuff, it's the genuine article, and it tastes fucking dynamite. It's a 10 out of 10 and a recommendation from me. And remember, beer is working class champagne.